Hello. So I think you should be able to hear me now, but that is not the sound that I wanted to be using. I want to be using the sound on here. Hang on. Hello. So I think you should be able to hear me now, but that is not the sound. Oh no, now I need to mute this. Oh my gosh, it's so complicated trying to get all this. Okay, so you guys can hear me, so that is really promising. It is not the quality of sound that I wanted to have though, so that is frustrating, but we will work on it. And also I've knocked my camera now trying to get that set up. Hang on, I need to also mute this. Oh my gosh, it's so complicated trying to get all this. Okay. So that's muted, so I can't hear myself, so that is definitely helpful. Okay, so I can see you. Well, I can't see you, but I can see you in the chat, and hopefully you can see me and hear me, and you should be able to see this. But if I swap it back over here, you should be able to see me. Hey, so hopefully that is working. I'm gonna have to take a sip of water. Sorry about that. It's only taken me 7 minutes, and I've been setting up for about half an hour before that, thinking that I had it all under control, which clearly I did not. So I'm so sorry. So welcome. This is a full moon ritual, a Scorpio full moon ritual. I will get better at the tech as we go along, because this is something that I wanted to be offering, to do more lives and things like that. I have got an external mic, which I can't really show you now because the way it's set up is like it's out of shot. But that's not working, so I don't know why. So I will have to try and troubleshoot that for next time and get that working. So, hello. So, oh, you're top down still? Sound is still a bit quiet. Okay, let me see if I can turn that up. So, hang on. If I do that, is it better? Oh my gosh. Yeah, let me know if that is better. Yeah, it's the multi-angle thing that is not quite working for me. So top down is this, and then I should be able to switch and get you like this as well, which is the idea. So because part of this ritual I wanted to do kind of like with you, and then part of it will be doing some stuff here. I've got my bowl, I've got some other little resources, so hopefully we're all here. Oh, it's a little bit better, that's good. Yeah, I'm sorry about the sound, and it is frustrating because, like I said, I've got a whole mic situation going on, but it's not working. So I'm now just using the sound on my laptop, which is a bit shit, but it is what it is. So I think that is how we'll have to do it for today. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with the ritual. So this is a ritual for this Scorpio full moon, which is a very special Scorpio full moon. Is coming up on Monday for me in the UK on the 12th in the afternoon. So it will be like, late afternoon. So it will be the same for people in the US, but it may be that it will be like earlier on than that in the next day for some of you if you are in the southern hemisphere. So this Scorpio full moon, let me switch so I can show you the chart, which I've got here on my desk. So in this Scorpio full moon, oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, thank you for my compliments on what I'm wearing. This is really old, but I love it, and it comes out when it's a bit too hot to wear a cardigan, but I still fancy a little something. So this is the chart for this full moon in Scorpio. There's the moon over here, down here in Scorpio, and if we chase it back over, we've got the sun opposite it in Taurus, and that's what happens when we have a full moon. We always have the sun and the moon directly opposite each other. But this Scorpio full moon is opposing Uranus here in Taurus. So the sun and Uranus are pretty close together opposite this full moon in Taurus. So if you saw the title of this live stream, this chaotic live stream that we are on now, you will have seen that the theme that I've given for this ritual is about pattern interrupting. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some journaling, we're going to pull some cards, and we're going to work on patterns that need interrupting in our lives now, because this full moon is an excellent time to be, let me swap back to me, this is an excellent time to be releasing patterns. Frodo's been on his beanbag in the background now as well. You probably can't hear that though, because if the sound's not very good anyway, then you obviously won't be able to hear that anyway, but yes, he is doing that. So pattern interrupting. How does that sound? How does that feel? Are there any patterns that you feel are like, now is the time? I mean, Scorpio always has that vibe of a rebirth, you know, it's a death and a rebirth. So it's a really rich full moon for doing kind of like a release, for doing shadow work, that kind of stuff. But this specific one with that Uranus connection, it is really like, I'm really excited about it as a pattern shifting, a pattern breaking step. So yeah, let me know, how are you feeling about this? Yeah, because Frodo's there, we can start ritual. Yeah, of course. Hmm. Are there any patterns that you already know? Is there something that is coming up for you already that is something like, I know I want to release this? If not, that's fine. Don't worry. We are going to be doing some work, some journaling to unearth those things. If you know, if you don't know what they are already. So yeah, I need to take a little moment to drop in as well, because with all that tech stuff, it's like I get myself all shifted into state for ritual, and then the tech stuff doesn't work, and I get my energy gets interrupted again. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to tap back into myself, drop back into myself, and I invite you to do the same. Just take a couple of moments to ground, to center. You're here now, and I'm here now, and we're connected, and hopefully you can hear me. I might be able to turn it up a little bit. Let me see if I can turn it up even more to see if that might help. Okay. Do I have to pick just one? Yeah, Kate, you don't have to pick just one. We can actually do some stuff. You can work on a few. I wouldn't go too massive, just because that can make it a little bit less meaningful, but like 3 or 5, you know, there's a few. We can do a few. It doesn't have to be just one. And yes, very timely with the other things we've been working on. Very timely with the new goddess. Those of you who are in the Moonwise membership, the new goddess video is available there for you, and a much bigger read of this Scorpio full moon as well. So that is all in the portal for you if you're a member. If you're not a member, you check it out, because there's some really good stuff in there. But it doesn't matter if you're a member or not for this now, because this is why I'm doing these rituals publicly on YouTube. And I have planned more in. I've planned to do one around the full moon until the end of the year, just to see how they go. So let me know as well if you think that this is helpful to you. Obviously not now, because we haven't done it yet. Let me know at the end if you think this is helpful. If you're watching the replay, then let me know what you think. Would you like me to continue doing these? Okay, so choosing a pattern, that's fine. I got some help for you for choosing the pattern. That is all good. Okay, so we're going to start off first with just doing a short meditation, which is going to be part of that unearthing of the pattern. So it's going to be like a relaxation. We're going to kind of like get settled in, but also start to kind of be looking into those things which might be ready to be broken with that Uranus, because Uranus has got that like electric change making energy. And so coupled as especially if they're bodily things that you're thinking about releasing, because with it being Uranus in Taurus and near that sun in Taurus, anything that's been blocking our ability to shine, especially like feelings about our body, feelings about our self-worth, and perhaps how we interact in relationships as well, all of those things are very on point. But it doesn't just have to be that, you know, it can be other parts of your life as well. So I invite you to just, if you can, close your eyes and get settled in to where you are. Emotional eating, Tanya says, that would be an amazing one, and that's really, really on point with this energy. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Karen, you couldn't find the new video. I'm sorry. It is there in the portal if you log in. It's in the current moon section in the portal. Nicole said, I love full moon so much. Yes, me too. Okay. So you might have already felt your breath starting to slow, to lengthen, to deepen. And feel that surface beneath you, holding you, supporting you. You are safe. You are held. Now bring your awareness to the parts of you that are touching the ground beneath you. It may be the seat, or it may be the floor, it may be both. Just bring your awareness there to that sensation of contact where your body is contacting the floor. And then see those parts of you growing roots pushing down, down, deep into the earth below you. Your roots move slowly and patiently, like the roots of an ancient tree. And your roots wind down through the soil, through the rock even, through layers of memory, through the sediment of ancestors, of instincts, of ages. With every breath, your roots reach deeper, deeper down into the ground, through the earthy Taurus realm of stillness and substance, until they pierce the threshold of a hidden world. This is Scorpio's domain, a rich subterranean underworld of emotion, shadow, power, and transformation. The roots do not shy away, they dig right in, they drink it in. This is nourishment, this is truth. So feel yourself where you are now, with those roots descending all the way through the Taurus earth into the Scorpio below. Let yourself feel the sacred tension between above and below, where Taurus seeks safety, Scorpio seeks surrender. Where Taurus preserves, Scorpio transforms. And between them, you. Let yourself be the vessel, the bridge, the axis, connecting that Taurus and Scorpio realm through you, in you. You are both. Now, sense a subtle vibration rising from deep within the underworld. A current of Uranian electricity, wild and liberating. It sparks along your roots, awakening something deep inside you that has lain dormant. Feel it waking up now. With your next in-breath, draw that energy up, feeling it spiral through your roots, through your body, igniting a vision of the self that you are becoming now. Breathe into it, draw it in, anchor it. You are grounded and electric, rooted and renewed. And in this space, I'm going to offer you some prompts which we can come back to when we come to our journal. But I just wanted to give them to you now in this connected space to see if anything comes up and emerges. What part of me do I keep hidden because I fear its power or fear being seen? What emotional response do I repeat like a ritual, and what truth lies behind it? What would I do differently if I truly believed change could happen in an instant? Who am I trying to protect by staying the same? And what happens if I stop? What ancestral story or inherited pattern am I ready to break so the next generation no longer has to carry it? When was the last time I truly surprised myself? What did that feel like? What does my body know that my mind resists? What am I loyal to that no longer serves my growth? If I could press a reset button right now, what would I choose to leave behind? What is the deep truth I've been avoiding that could set me free? So just take a moment to let those percolate. And then when you're ready, feel that energy coming back up through your roots, and with it, draw your roots back into your body to where you are now in the room. Maybe wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes if it feels good, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay. So how are you feeling? Did that shift anything? Do you have any ideas now about what might be the pattern that is ready to be interrupted? The pattern that cannot continue? I'm going to give everyone a moment. Nicole said, yikes, that was revealing. Does that mean you've got a handle on a pattern, Nicole, or more than one pattern that may be ready to be shaken loose with this Uranus opposition to the full moon? Yeah, and like you don't have to share. That's kind of like, it's rhetorical, but I'm glad that it is stirring some things up, shaking some things loose. That is what we want. So if you've got your journal handy, then you can grab that now if you haven't already. Maybe you've started to note some things down. I'm just going to switch to, hopefully, so you can see my desk view. And I have okay, so I'm going to, I've sort of started setting up a page for the full moon. And like, I probably won't fill all of this in with you, but you may want to start filling filling it in. I've just been using pages from the Scorpio full moon guide, which if you remember is free for you in the portal, or it's only like a couple of dollars if you're not a member and you want to have some of this. I print it out on like sticker paper, which I know we had a conversation about in the Discord, but I find this actually works really well because you can just cut it out and then you can stick it in. So I kind of made the frame for this. And I'm going to use this space here now just to do some journaling. I say now, maybe I might not do my actual journaling, but just to journal some questions, like some answers to some of those prompts. Oh, that's getting on my nerves now because this camera keeps like readjusting itself. I'll have to try and figure that out with the tech as well. So I'm sorry about that. Alison says, slight panic, old habit of wanting to do it right. Yes, yeah. I mean, that is a pattern in itself, isn't it? Like trying to be right, trying to make it, you know, this, I have to do it the right way. The great thing about working with the moon cycles, I mean, there's lots of great things about working with the moon cycles, but one of the brilliant things about it is that we can always cycle back to things, we can always circle back to things. So, you know, there's no pressure. I feel like it takes a lot of the pressure off to do it right, because we can do it again if it doesn't work out. Let me see if I can auto-focus that camera so that it stops. No, I can't. That's helpful. Oh, joy. Brilliant. Okay. All such a learning curve for me, I tell you. So, yeah. Don't know how I'm going to do that. So I'm sorry about the jumping back and forth, but hopefully it's not too annoying. It's annoying me. So I don't know if I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put a little bit of something before and then stick on the word reflections. And then I'm going to give you those prompts again. Not like that was, there were 10 prompts. That's probably too many prompts to be working on. You might want to just choose the ones that like that really kind of stand out to you and use those. So I'm going to take this word out of the journal in ephemera. In fact, I'm just going to cut it out rough cut for now, and then I'll tidy it up a little bit later. Okay. I want to take quite a bit off because I want to still be able to see the washi. But obviously I can't, I'm not going to cut around every single letter. Okay, I think that'll do. That's interesting. Yeah, Shannon said I had a few phrases come up while we were meditating, but I think there's one underneath. Nicole, the prompts are not, the journal prompts for this are not in the guide, but I'll drop them into the Discord. In fact, I might, can I do that now? Where have I saved that? That's the question. I can drop the prompts into the Discord, but I will read them to you again. I'll also, let me put them, I'll put them here on the as well, so you can hopefully see them, but they're going to be a bit small, so I'll read them out to you as well. So choose one or more of these to go with, and we're also going to pull some cards for them as well, because there might be some, like Shannon's saying, that there's something underneath, and I find that happens quite a lot, that there'll be something like that will come up, and that's worth noting down, the things that just come up on the surface, and then also diving into those things that come underneath as well. Yeah, Karen's saying the same. Maybe journal. I find pulling cards can be really helpful then, because we can kind of, it's harder to kind of delude yourself when the cards are like, nope, it's this. Yeah. Yeah, I won't drop them in there now, but I'll try and drop them in there later. I think my brain and my computer might explode if I try and do too many different things. So the first one was, what part of me do I keep hidden because I fear its power or fear being seen? And that's because we're in a Scorpio full moon, which is very seeking of the truth in the shadow. And so it's about like kind of connecting with our underworld. So what part of me do I keep hidden because I fear its power or fear being seen? So if that one resonates for you, you might want to note that one down. Yeah. And, start making some notes on that as well. And then the second one was, what emotional response do I repeat like a ritual, and what truth lies beneath it? And my thinking for that one is because a lot of our patterns have developed to keep us safe. That's just the reality of it. A lot of these patterns to keep us safe. And then even when we're out, it's a cliche at this point, isn't it? It's like, even though it kept us safe at one point in our lives, when we get to different parts of our life, they actually keep us trapped. So our kind of safety pattern becomes almost like a prison for us. So this prompt is about our kind of instinctive, we call it, responses in situations, but how instinctive are they? Like, can we get behind that and kind of see where is that pattern coming from? And these could be like, you could look at these in terms of the like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, those kind of responses. Or it could be like that you instinctively say no to things as soon as somebody offers you, or it could be that you instinctively say yes to things when somebody asks you for something or to do something or invites you to something. It's any kind of emotional response which perhaps is like that instinctive. This is why when we're looking at Scorpio, we try and peel back, look behind what is going on behind those instincts. What is driving that? What is driving that? Because we want to be consciously, mindfully driving our own lives. And when these unconscious patterns are like running the show, then that means that we are not really in the driving seat. We're being like dragged along, really, in that case. Oh, Siren, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Um, I know it doesn't allow you to. They just like, we just do that now. YouTube for lives. You can do it like, I don't have them on for my videos. I make sure I can turn them off in the middle of videos, but for the lives I don't seem to be able to do it. It's either you don't have ads at all, which is what I don't like. I do still want to put ads on at the beginning and the very end, but not during it. It doesn't seem to have that option. Yeah. But yes, you can come back to it. And hopefully it won't do that again. Okay. So if that one about the patterns or emotions, I feel like that's one that I need to look at. So that might be one that I'll put down here. Maybe we'll pull some cards around. And then, what would I do differently if I truly believe change could happen in an instant? So we are dealing with Uranus here. I put in a Uranian zap. This opens the door to quantum shifts rather than incremental ones. And that is one of the big magic points in this moon, is that it is something that can happen. We can make big shifts now. We can make kind of surprising quantum leaps now rather than just small steps, So be bold with it. Like, what is it? What could it be that, like, because a lot of our patterns, we're like, well, yeah, I know I do that, but that's kind of just how I deal with it. And it feels like it can never be any different. And so I'm kind of inviting you now to imagine that it could be different. And then, who am I trying to protect by staying the same? What would happen if I stopped? And this one is definitely bedding into the fixed energy in general, but also into that Taurus idea of safety. And quite often we think we're doing stuff to protect ourselves, but sometimes it's to protect kind of like the status quo, or to protect relationships with people who perhaps don't really see the fullness of us. So that is one to dig into if that feels like you. Who am I trying to protect by staying the same? What would happen if I stopped? Okay, and this is a big one. What ancestral story or inherited pattern am I ready to break so the next generation doesn't carry it? So Scorpio is connected with that 8th house, and it does rule that idea of inheritance and legacy. So when we have transformation and we have inheritance, legacy together, we are thinking about what is it that is kind of like bigger than me that I will leave behind. So that can sometimes be motivating, because it's like, this is not just for me that I'm doing this. Like, those of us who find it more difficult to get motivated to do things just for ourselves, I say just for ourselves, as if that's not enough, but unfortunately it sometimes feels like it's not. We can get motivated when we see the kind of bigger picture of this stuff that we're working on. Yeah, so what ancestral story or inherited pattern am I ready to break so the next generation doesn't carry it? And then number 6. Nicole saying it's aligning with the Beltane Oracle card I pulled this morning about embodying the life I want. Yeah. Yes. You know, we are in Taurus season. You know, we've got Mercury going to be shifting into Taurus as well. We've got that that idea of embodiment goes through this whole season. It goes through this whole season. Yeah. And then, when was the last time I truly surprised myself? What did it feel like? What did it feel like? Can you even remember? I don't feel like I surprise myself all that often, but maybe that is because I have got a Taurus moon and I feel like I kind of like to do things in a steady way a lot of the time. But you know, Uranus is there in Taurus. It has been stirring things up. So, yeah. And then what does my body know, which is digging back into that embodiment that Nicole's talking about. What does my body know that my mind resists? Because with Taurus, we are knowing, we have that knowing through our bodies. You know, we have that kind of instinctive gut knowing through our bodies. So what does my body know that my mind resists? And like, you know, our bodies give us signs all the time, and it can be easy to ignore them or like medicate them rather than listening. Because listening, the problem with listening is that it requires change. Then, you know, it's like, okay, I've listened and now I have to do something because I can't just let things sit as they are. Yeah. Yeah, the surprising one is tricky. Yeah, I find that one tricky as well. So, what am I loyal to that no longer serves my growth? So, Scorpio and Taurus have that idea of like loyalty in them, of like fixed heritage, and that idea of like kind of things that are deep seated in them. But sometimes we can kind of almost become married to a certain way of doing things or certain ideas. And with that Uranus there, we've got the opportunity to break that now. So, what is it that I'm loyal to, that I do, even though it doesn't serve my growth, and I know that it is not something that is necessarily healthy for me anymore moving forward? Shannon's getting some good cards. Or maybe bad cards. Okay. And then this is kind of like a fun one. If I could press a cosmic reset button right now, what would I choose to leave behind? What would I leave behind? So if I could like fully just like blow everything up and start again, and like it's also interesting to think about what would I keep, you know? And this could become a whole journal spread in itself, you know? It's like, what in my life, if I was completely starting again, what in my life would I keep? And what in my life would I leave behind? And that can be really telling about a lot of the patterns and things that we can find ourselves entrenched in without really realizing. Shaz says both, really. Isn't it always the way with the cards? And then the last one is, what is one truth I've been avoiding that could set me free? What is one truth that I've been avoiding that could set me free? So yeah, I put like classic Scorpio, truth is liberation, not as punishment. So it's that idea of like rebirth, change, not as a scary thing. Well, kind of as a little bit of a scary thing, but as a beautiful thing, as a necessary thing. Oh, Karen, no, you don't need to be pulling cards. The cards are going to come next if you want to, or you can start. You know, this is your ritual, so you have it serve you. The deck that I have got Shannon just likes to get on with things. She likes to race into the next thing. I pulled out the Shadowscapes, which is a deck that I've had for quite a while now, but it is still one of my favourite decks. I don't use it as much now as I used to because my eyes are not as good as they used to be, and so it's hard for me to see the pictures. The ninth prompt was, if I could press a cosmic reset button right now, what would I choose to leave behind? So, you know, you could do, what would I keep? What would I leave behind? Let me show you a couple more of these cards. What I like about this deck, well, there's a lot of things I like about this deck. The book is excellent that comes with it. Maybe I should have pulled that out, actually. That's somewhere on the shelf. If we need it, I'll pull it out. But Barbara's, what's her surname? I can't even think. The woman who wrote this deck, she writes beautiful descriptions of the cards. I love her interpretations of the cards. So that is one of the things I like about this deck. But I also like it for Taurus season because it's got, you know, around that Scorpio full moon, which falls in the Taurus season, because it's got that idea of the shadow, but it's also very earthy, very rooted in a lot of ways as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful deck for this time of year. Yeah, Shan's a fiery baby. Okay, so if you've got cards handy, it doesn't have to be this deck at all. This is just the one that I'm going to use. I would say choose one, but if you want to choose more of that than the prompts to kind of go a bit deeper, especially if you feel like, there's more, there's a little bit more in this one for me, and pull some cards around that. I'm going to choose one and I'll do I'll read for us, you know, rather than just reading for me, because I'm going to want to kind of do this myself as well, because it's hard to kind of like hold space for the ritual and do it myself at the same time. But hopefully you'll still kind of get the gist of it as we're going along. So I think I'm going to choose, which one should I choose? Which would be a good prompt for a read for all of us that I can use with the Shadowscapes? Karen says, I can't imagine you're more impatient than me. Is there a particular prompt that you think, that would be a good one? The Cosmic Reset, or the Ancestral one. Okay, let's do those two. We'll do the Cosmic Reset, and then we'll do the Ancestral. And you know, I think for the Cosmic Reset, I'm going to frame it as like if we could have a Cosmic Reset like worldwide. Do you know what I mean? So like if we could start again worldwide, and I'm going to pull two cards for it. I'm going to put what would I choose to leave behind and what would I choose to keep. In fact, I'm going to do it the other way around. Keep, leave behind. Let's do that. So, Cosmic Reset on this beautiful earth. Ooh. Keep. Interesting. Leave behind. Okay, so to keep, we've got this Six of Swords, but it was actually came out reversed, which I didn't reverse any of these. It's just from my bad shuffling that some of them get reversed by accident. And like when we got that Six of Swords energy has been coming up a lot for me lately. I feel like it also came up in one of the reads I did for like a collective reading as well recently too. And it's that idea of, did it come out in the Beltane read, I feel like, as well? It's often like it looks like almost like a childlike person being carried away on the back of a swan here, while we've got these kind of like swords and crows or ravens kind of watching on. So we've got that contrast of kind of like light and dark coming out through this card, which we find a lot in the Shadowscapes. Oh, my computer's gone to sleep. Hopefully you can still see. Oh my gosh, did that just cut off my stream? Hopefully not. Oh God. Okay, so I hope that you can still see. I'm going to hold this a little bit higher to see if Oh yeah, I did freeze, but I think I've got it back again now, hopefully. Okay. So it's often about, which is very interesting because we've been talking about kind of like leaving things behind, interrupting patterns, and that is like what the Six of Swords does. But it's interesting in that like some versions of the Six of Swords have the swords being taken away with the person, and some of them have them being left behind. And I find that really poignant to check in whichever card it is that comes up, because the ones where we are taking the swords with us tend to be the places where we are like kind of still taking our baggage, still taking our old ideas, old ways of doing things, our patterns into that new space. So it's like we're trying to kind of solve a problem by moving to a new space without really unpacking. We're taking our problem with us, we're taking the pattern with us. Whereas with the ones where you leave them behind, it's like we can kind of be freed from this, which is, this card is saying that, but it did come out reverse. And so I feel like what it's saying as far as like what we need to keep is that if we do have a cosmic reset, if we were to have a cosmic reset around this Scorpio, like I feel like we are very much going through kind of like a reset phase, or more of a rebirth phase at the moment. But I feel like it's saying that we shouldn't forget. We mustn't forget, because when we forget about the things, the kind of awful things that have happened, and try and leave it all behind, we will make the same mistakes again, and we'll keep repeating those patterns, even if we haven't kind of like consciously brought them with us to that new place. So I feel like what it's saying is like, yeah, we need to be mindful of what has led up. We don't just have a fresh slate, start again, complete noob, like this is a whole new world, nobody knows anything about anything, because what has happened, what has led us up to this point, is something that we need to be mindful of, for sure, before we can kind of step forward into this new space. And then what to leave behind. Look, this is interesting. We've got this like couple who are up on like the top of a mountain, and they've got all these like sort of gorgeous treasures, cups and shells and things around their feet. But they're not really kind of paying too much attention to that. They are like looking off towards this floating island in the sky, pointing towards this island in the sky, kind of looking at a map to see like, how do we get up to this place, because they're not satisfied with what is here. And you know what, actually, like on a very real read of this is like how certain people are sort of saying, right, we need to actually like expand off of Earth now. We've kind of messed up, we fucked this Earth up, and now we need to leave that behind and go somewhere else, and we will just kind of everything will be fine in this new place. And it's like, no, it won't. Of course it won't, because of this, because you can't just do that. You can't, the cards are kind of like in dialogue with each other. We need to stop looking for the escape, the fresh slate, the new solution that is coming from outside. We need to start focusing on here, on the treasures that are here, on what is here, what are all of the complicated feelings and issues that we have got right here to deal with. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at the ancestral story or pattern that we are ready to break, that we collectively are ready to break. Which pattern are we breaking? This one has come out for me in one of the spreads I was doing the other day as well, of like temperance not being good for me. And I think it's because of this. I think we have tried so long, and Michelle's not going to be happy about this if she watches this in the replay. We've tried so long to be bringing up to try and find a balance, It's like, oh, I've got to find this perfect balance. If I can find this perfect balance, like that's not all that temperance is about. There's a lot more to it than like it's a very strong card in a lot of respects as well, But it's like, if only I can find this perfect balance of everything, then there'll be this like equilibrium that I can get into. But actually, that yearning for balance, and for being balanced as well, of like kind of like not being too much, not being too little, you know, kind of trying sort of artificially to almost like that's the ancestral pattern, I feel, is like to try and be very evolved, very taking the middle ground, that kind of thing. It's actually time for us to release that now, and it's time for us to step much more into being the thing, the one thing that is calling us, the one side. Pick a side. Pick a side now. And that doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. You know, this is all about pattern breaking, pattern interrupting. So we can change our minds in the future and we can choose again. But for now, rather than trying to always be like, it's almost like always trying to be the bigger person as well. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to rise above it. I'm going to like find a way of balancing these competing needs from these people who are basically assholes. You know, it's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to actually choose a side. I'm going to choose something. Yeah. Savannah says, instead of escaping, we need to integrate. Yes, exactly that. Integrate, you know, literally get ourselves back into coherence, back rooted in this earth. Yeah. Yes, searching for balance, but it's just misalignment. It's like what it feels like is walking a tightrope. It feels like we're walking this tightrope. And like, how do you feel when you're walking a tightrope? Do you feel rooted and grounded? No. You feel stressed. And like, if you take one wrong step, then that's going to be the end of you. Do you feel like that? Like, sometimes I really feel like that. And so we choose a side. We're no longer walking on a tightrope. We know who we are. We know where we stand. That is what it is. That's the ancestral pattern that we're ready to break. Karen says, my word of the year is balance, but the message you're saying that has come up more than once this year. Yes. Yeah. Collectively mind blown now. Oh, yes. Liminal resistance. Not be too little is the ancestral pattern, cause a visceral reaction to me. Not be too little. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Yes. So collectively, we're working on some really big stuff, and we can take steps to this, you know, and like, how do things shift? By each of us shifting things, and then that just ripples out and spreads out over everything. You know, we try and get the word out to as many people as possible, subtly. We don't evangelize, but we do kind of just magnetize people in, you know, we draw people in. Okay, so how are you getting on? Let me put this back on me for a second. How are you getting on? Have you got your own, sounds like, Kate, you're getting a handle on yours perhaps. What pattern is it for you that you are ready to break, to interrupt? And if you don't feel quite ready, that's completely normal to feel like it's probably the right one if you feel a little bit scared about it as well. Like, not like bone shakingly scared, but if it feels a little unsafe to do it, like, we are in Scorpio territory here. This is a Scorpio full moon, so it's going to feel deep to do this. So you don't have to share it in the chat, but if you feel like, get a handle on it now, because we're gonna be doing a little bit of some water magic, because it is Scorpio, and Scorpio is a water sign. So we're going to bring in some of that water magic to be breaking these patterns now symbolically, which will then ripple out and break them in, like, in the real world, in the manifest world as well. Yes. Yes, Alison says, like attracts like. Live true to self and others will find you. Yeah. Yes, for sure. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my desk and I'm going to get my bits and pieces to show you. Okay, so I've got just like it's just a plastic bowl. I think that this came I've had this a few years now. It came, I think, in the witch casket, but it's cute, and it's also really nice for taking out and about for rituals as well. But I thought this would be a good one. Yes, little resistance. Resistance is a brilliant word, Savannah, as well. Like having a feeling of resistance, that probably means you're on the right path, because like if these patterns were easy to break, then we would have broken them already, you know. There's going to be a little bit of resistance, so that's good. But feeling, if it feels too easy, it probably is too easy. If it feels completely like it's going to crush you, that's probably too far for this particular time. You might want to revisit that in future. But something that feels a stretch, but not like you're going to die if you do it. Although I suppose a little bit like you're going to die. Like we are talking about a Scorpio. We are talking a Scorpio moon. Karen says, my head is swirling with all these deep questions, but one easy, maybe more superficial thing. Yes. Do you know what I'm going to put in here? Just, yeah. So Karen's saying about breaking up the pattern of too much screen time in the morning. Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to put in for now, caffeine after 2 p.m. That's a pattern that is not healthy for me. It will be hard for me to break it, but I'm going to use that Uranus energy to help me to break that pattern. So no caffeine after 2 p.m. because I know it doesn't do me any good. I used to be able to drink it any time of the day. And I always used to be like eye roll with people who would say, oh, I can't have caffeine after, you know, after a certain time, or I can't sleep and that kind of thing. And now I am one of those people. So, so I'm going to do that. But I will come back to this after I've done my own journaling as well. I'll put a few other things into, but let me just show you. So this is non-essential at all, but I'm going to show you some ways that you can kind of amp this up a little bit if you want to. So I have got here, excuse the disgusting bottle. This is spring water from Glastonbury, from the Sacred Well in Glastonbury. I've also got some from another Sacred Marian well, which is local to me. And I've also got some from Knock when I went to Ireland, from the shrine in Knock. So I'm actually going to use this, a combination of the 3 sacred waters as my in my bowl. But you could use a little sprinkle of a herb that is connected to the thing that the pattern that you're breaking. You could put a drop of essential oil in there, you know. These are just like options. You can literally just use tap water. It still works with tap water, but sometimes the more theatre that we give it, the more of an impression it makes on our brain, and it helps us to shift the thing even more. You know, our brains love story, they love theatre and magic. A lot of it is about that. So embrace that. Don't try and resist that. So I haven't got very much of this one, so I'm not going to use too much of that, and I've got even less of my Knock water. So also using resources that are a little bit precious sometimes feels, you know, it makes it feel a little bit more of a thing. Oh, I don't want it all to go. There we go. Yes, you could use your storm water. That would be very on point with Uranus as well, you know, having that kind of I'm going to put a little bit more of my glass to be watering, because I've got loads of that, and I probably will be refilling this year. So you do want it depends how many things you're going to be getting rid of, but you do want it to be like sort of full-ish. Just going to catch up with the chat quickly as well. Karen, one of the parts I keep hidden is my spirituality and witchiness. Ooh, so why does it feel unsafe? You know, perhaps that's something that feels unsafe. Like, it may not be that. It may just be that those parts of you are private, and it's completely fine to have private things. That's a very Taurus vibe as well, is to have that, you know. And we have got the sun in Taurus, you know, so it's okay to have privacy. That's fine. But is it because you feel like there's something shameful or something unsafe about sharing? That'd be something interesting to dig into. Nicole says, the cards are really throwing down at me. First card was, are you getting in your own way? Ooh. Do you know, sometimes when I do these kind of rituals, if I feel like I am getting in my own way, I put my own name in here as like a kind of symbolic death and rebirth of myself. So if you feel that you are getting in your own way, you can do that. Like, that might feel scary, and it should, you know, but it's also really powerful, really powerful. Nicole says I'm cheating on my diet and skipping workouts and lying to my health coach. Yeah, okay, okay. Carol, the pattern to break for me is, I think, abandonment of myself. Wow, yeah, falling to escapism because it's easier than staying true to myself and true, yeah. Oh, Carol, that's yes. That is a deep one for so many of us when we have not been recognized and cherished for who we are. And I want you to know that I truly cherish you and will never abandon you, because who you are when you're true to yourself is the Carol that we know and love. Yeah. Yes. No, you will not be abandoned. Shannon says, mine is literally like wanting things for myself and doing something to get the thing I want. Or like permission to kind of go after what it is that you want, to do things for yourself. Is that what you mean? So, like, you probably will have done this before if you've been witching any amount of time, because this is the sort of thing that, it's not a new practice. It works really well if you use, I'm going to use my Tombos, if you use a water-based pen, because it looks really cool then when you put it in, because it's like it almost like washes it off as soon as you put it in the water. But again, that's theatre. It's not essential. You can write it on with whatever you like. It doesn't matter. I just like the theatre of that. So I'm going to make some little strips of paper. You can write it first if you want to and do it. In fact, I'm just going to do one for now. I'm going to do my caffeine one and I'll do my others later on when I've had a chance to journal and see what it is. But a lot of the things you're saying are also on point for me as well. Yeah. Shan, yeah, so I'm always trying to keep the peace and make sure everybody's okay. So it's that one about like that pattern of who am I trying to protect by staying the same? What would happen if I stopped? And also that, what am I loyal to that no longer serves my growth, I think. It's those kind of very Taurus. And like, when we have these moons on angles, which you have, now in your chart, they're even more impactful often because they're impacting those kind of like big four areas of our lives. Yeah, Carol. So yeah, so this is an ancestral pattern as well for you, Carol. So that is even more powerful for you to be breaking that pattern and not handing it down. Yeah. So I'm going to just write on here for demo purposes, although I also do want to release this. The pattern that I'm going to interrupt is caffeine after 2 p.m. Oop. So I'm actually writing the thing that I want to get rid of. Yeah, so caffeine after 2 p.m. And I'm going to pop it in to the water. And it's usually quite cool with these pens because they like kind of wash off. And if you're more patient with it than I am, you can just kind of like let it sit in and it will go in and then it'll just swoosh off. And the quicker you can put it in after you've written it also helps. So if you know what your things are, like lying to your health coach or similar, then you can put those in. It's quite cool just to have like a few of them just like floating around. Like if you don't poke them in, I was being impatient and I poked mine in, but you can just let them sit on the surface and then they'll gradually like soak and go down through there. Hi Lisa, that's cool that you're here. Yeah. Karen says, I don't think I want to feel judged or have people think I'm crazy for believing what I believe, even though I have lots of thoughts about their organized religion. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there then, isn't there? There's a lot. Yeah. Yeah, so Lisa, you've joined us amidst a live ritual for the Scorpio full moon. And we are just releasing some patterns, some unhelpful or unhealthy patterns that we no longer wish to hold, because we've got this beautiful Uranus energy that is shaking us loose. There's going to be a big change maker. And you can keep this bowl, like if you start this bowl off, you can keep adding things to it, you know, all the way up to the full moon and continuing after it if you want to. Yes, they feel good. Feels good, Kate. Yeah, and because I sometimes forget to tell you this, I know people will want to know as well. It's like what to do to get rid of this at the end. So what I do is to just take the bowl, and I'll pour the water out just down the sink, you know, just down the drain, and then I take the bits of paper and I compost them. So you just kind of properly releasing those things. But you can keep this going, like I say, for a few days over the moon. Yeah. Yeah, Debbie says I like the idea of adding your own name. It see how that feels because it's sometimes I find it a little less scary putting it in the water, but for some like I've done it where I'm burning it and that sometimes feels even more scary. But it is a good one. It is a really good one about getting out of our own way. Yeah. If we are if we are the pattern, you know, like our current iteration of ourselves. So we're letting go of that current iteration and we're allowing a new iteration to step in. Yeah. Okay, so how are you getting on? I know we've got back to, I say seeing you. I obviously can't really see you, but I feel like I'm talking to you when I do that. I'm going to move my bowl off to the side because I will come back to that in a little bit. So yeah, how are you getting on? How does that feel? Take time with it, you know, like you don't have to do it all in one go. Like I said, you can keep this going for a few days if you want to, certainly over the full moon and into the waning part of the moon if you want to, but then don't let it kind of get skanky and sat around. Then you do want to dispose of it then. And if you, again, you know, this is one of the beautiful things about the moon cycles is that if you feel like you do want to do this again or revisit, then you can, you know, there's nothing to stop you doing that. You could keep revisiting this exact same exercise on every Scorpio moon if you want to, or every Scorpio waning moon would be a good time to do that. Yeah, Shan says I'm not going to rush it. Yeah, no need to rush it. That's fine. Karen says I'm adding so much paper I might be able to make homemade paper from the pulp. Maybe we should use a bucket next time. Yeah. Yeah, Siren says we Scorpios prefer the water. Yes, which is why we're using Scorpio, you know, water for Scorpio for this moon. Yes, Savannah, the full moon is on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, if you're not already signed up for Moonday Magic Mail, which I send out every Monday, I give like a rundown of all of the astrology so you can kind of keep on top of it without it feeling like, you know, like a chore. You don't have to check in, you just get the mail with all the stuff in there. Debbie says, I think this moon is going to be really intense for me as I'm Scorpio rising and Aquarius sun and moon. Yeah, so like when it's in your rising sign, when we have the full moon in your rising, it is very much to do with our sense of self. So like that is very on point with putting yourself into the water as well. And like you can literally do it yourself. You can put yourself into the water. If you make a bath, you can do this physically with yourself in the water. I do it sometimes where I like write things on my body, like use like a something that will wash off easily. Like I sometimes do it with like incense ash, which sounds gross, but it's just something that will wash off easily in the water. And then when you get in, you can like wash those things off you as well, which that can be a really powerful ritual for especially for a Scorpio moon as well. Yeah, because I'm Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising. Yeah. Yes. So that moon, that body, your body and your sense of self are connected, intimately connected, because when you have your moon in your first house, you know, in your rising sign, it weaves those two things in together. Yeah, Shannon, it's like I can't quite put my finger on what the actual pattern is. Yes. So it needs a little bit more digging into perhaps. Yeah. And Nicole says that was surprisingly easy. It's funny, isn't it? How sometimes we're just like, yes, this, and sometimes it's harder to kind of get into it. And I think fixed signs do struggle more usually with this because you know it's like it's harder to see the patterns because they are so fixed. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it with eyeliner, although I find sometimes that really doesn't come off that easy. I have done it with that before. Yeah, Savannah, there should be a link in underneath this, like in the description box for this live, because I've got like a kind of general, the same thing that I put in under the edge of them. That's like saved, so it should be in there. Yes, so I'm putting some salt, and you can put in some salt. Then that would be a good thing to add into your bowl if you wanted to as well. Like I said, just to amp up that idea, and that's also very good for the Taurus element of it as well. Yeah, and we can workshop that, Shan, as well. Especially if you want to share some of the cards, we could workshop that over in the Discord as well. In our Discord server. If anyone's not in the Discord server, it's a really nice space to kind of like chat and connect with other people who are on this kind of path. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe mine was waterproof. That's why. Yeah. Releasing patterns of avoidance. That's interesting. Also, sometimes like releasing the need for there to be a structure, for there to be a pattern altogether, or to know, releasing the need to know what it is. Um, so you can also put things like that in as well if you're not sure. That can also really work. Mm. It's that bowl is accepting them. Whenever I do any bowl work, any work with water in that sense, that is goddess. So goddess is holding those things, and we don't have to worry about overwhelming her because she cannot be overwhelmed by our stuff at all. She takes it, she cleanses it, and it's nothing to worry about. It can easily be held, easily. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, so we are going to bring this to a close. I've got a couple of things to just to share with you. I've got a poem. And I was thinking I might also just pull like a collective, like an oracle card. So I think I will do that as well. I think I'll use the witch oracle because that's very on point with that Scorpio vibe as well. And yeah, if you do want to, like, there's lots of ways we can connect. I don't think I've left the Discord link. I don't think I put the Discord link in my channel thread. So if there's anyone who's not here who would like to join the Discord, just ask in the chat, and I'm sure someone in the chat will drop the link to the Discord in there, and you can join us. And like I said, yeah, get on the mailing list if you want the journal stuff. I think I linked that. I'm pretty sure I linked that in the description, and I will definitely do better with the tech stuff. Maybe I should release tech issues into the bowl. That would be a that would be a useful thing. I want to get my sound really good. I want to get the whole kind of like seamless switching between the face camera and the like kind of desk view as well. Next week, the same time next week, I'm going to be doing a live setup for June in my journal. So I'm going to be getting some things together for that. So if you want to hang around next week as well, that's not going to be a ritual so much. That's going to be like a journal setup. So you're welcome to grab your journals and get set up for June. I just find like I know it's kind of early. It's only going to be like just over halfway through May, but it helps me feel ready, for the next month. So yeah, if you like the sound of that, you can come along to that, or the replay will be up after as well. Okay, let me share this poem, which is very kind of Taurus coded. It is from Earth Pathways, which year? From 2023, Earth Pathways. Nicole says, got the piece that says judging sank right to the bottom. Alison, I need to sleep on this. It's interesting to watch what they do as well, because that can give us a bit of feedback as well on the things. So how easily they wash off the paper. Some things, even though you use the same pen, just like won't seem to want to go, and then other things just like gone straight away. Interesting. Need to sleep on it. My subconscious will sort it out. Yeah, feel free. Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, well, I've got two cameras. We got two cameras, and we did eventually get sound. So, that's always a win. Okay, so this is not a poem as such. It's from a piece called On Knowing by Tess Howell. And like I said, it's in the 2023 Earth Pathways diary. And it's kind of more Taurus leaning than Scorpio leaning, but I thought it was really beautiful for this time of the year. We can learn to honour the little voice of knowing inside each of us, to tend to it so that it burns bright. We can come to know that we have good guidance within us, to learn to trust in ourselves and our connection with the world around us. Maybe even to know that there is some thread behind it all that we can follow. May we know that we can forage for faith in the wild and nature-filled places of the world. That time there can fill us up. To know that when we are lost, there are places we can go to and practices that we can do to get found, like this one. Knowing is found in the body. It is a felt thing, not a thought thing. The more we are body-based, in touch with ourselves, the more we know. Seek out the things that sustain you. The solo walks in the wild where intuition may get a chance to speak. Or maybe the rainy day by the sea where sorrow and clear seeing of the next steps may both blow through. Or the late night baking time where innate wisdom may arise along with the cake mix. Know what works for you, where you find faith. Follow that thread. Keep listening in to the good guidance that you have within you. Yeah. So I thought that was really lovely. Let me grab the oracle. So I'm going to use this oracle deck. I'm just going to take one as kind of like a guiding archetype card through this season. We've pulled a lot of cards today. We've had tarot, now we're going to have some oracle as well. Oh my gosh, so this is a strange choice. So you've got 41, hang on, where's the camera there? The Predator. The Predator. Interesting, and it looks kind of like a little bit popey, which is kind of on point, I suppose, with things that have been going on at the moment. Let's see what the guidance is for this. There are some like darker cards in this deck, which is one of the reasons why I like it, to be honest, because it's not, it doesn't shy away from stuff. So this is what it says in the book for the Predator. You know that voice of the psyche that wants you to comply or conform in order to fit in, or shames you for being selfish, or tells you it's honourable and responsible to deny your longing, demanding you fold your dreams away into a people-serving shaped box. So I can see why this one has come up then for this moment. It's a predator you adopted as family. The voice condemning and convincing you that following your desires will hurt other people. It's inside you. The call is coming from inside the house. These are the patterns, aren't they? These are the patterns that we need to break. Those kind of insidious voices inside us which tell us, no, that's not for you. You can't do that. Who are you to do that? That predator is an unholy inquisitor. He might have first showed up outside of you, in your original home, church or school, and most certainly in our culture as a whole. But he is now alive as the inner patriarchy. It's the force that wants to control you in order to keep you small and unthreatening. It's moved into the psyche as it does generation after generation, if left unquestioned. This is one of the reasons why I love this deck so much, because it just seems to always have the exact right card for exactly what we've been talking about. Like, this has picked up on so many things that we've been talking about here today. And so a witch, a woman in total control of herself, knows it's purposeful to speak truth to power, to stand up and march for justice, fairness and decency, choosing a side. But she is also determined to march on behalf of the girl inside of her living with a monster. She's willing to take to the inner streets to clean up the injustice of bullying, thoughts, blaming, self-talk and name-calling. She speaks up for fairness when the internal predatory voice demands she please everyone else before herself. She embodies fierce decency when her dreams or hungers or passions are shamed and belittled from within. It is time to take a stand against the unholy inquisition of the psyche and develop the tools to defeat the toxic patriarchy living there. You deserve nothing less. Okay, so that is why that card came up, because we are defeating these are the patterns, those patterns that are sewn into us often at a very young age, and which now we need to excommunicate from ourselves. And we have tools. That is exactly what this ritual has been all about, is in giving tools for exactly that, for releasing those things. I'm just going to have a look at the chat. Debbie says, would you be able to snap a picture of that and put it in the poem in Discord? Yes, of course, I will share that. Yes. Love that card, Siren says, because it says it all. It's very on point for Scorpios. Yes. Oh, Savannah, no, the Discord is open to everybody. There's like a section there that is only for members, but the vast majority of it is open to everybody. Yeah, it's free. Liz says, I pulled this card earlier this week. I don't think I've ever pulled that card before, which is really funny, isn't it? Like when you've had an oracle deck for a while and like you've never pulled one, and then it just comes out at the exact right moment. Shan says, there we go. Thanks, card. Yes. Is that a lion or a cat on the front of the card? I don't see a lion or a cat. Do you mean on this card? I'm not seeing a lion. Oh gosh, why can't I see where the camera is? It's on my laptop. But I'll take a photo of that as well, and I will share that into the image on the card is like a man, and he's got his hands like gripped around a skeleton head, like he's like got this vice like grip around the head, which I think, yeah, is just very, very on point for where we are. So thank you all for being here. I hope that has been transformational, which seems like a big thing to say, but or at least has sown the seeds of transformation that you can continue to work on yourself now in your own practice and in private. And yeah, connect with me in all the ways that I've mentioned already down below. I'm sorry about the tech issues at the start, but yes, I'm going to give myself a break with that, and I can get it right, hopefully, if I keep persevering with doing these lives moving forward as well. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me through that. I'm so grateful for you all and for being here, and I hope to see some of you over in the Discord. We can have a chat about that. I'll share those cards and the poem over there straight away after hanging up from this call. So whether I can end the call or not will be another another question. Oh yeah, the questions. I will share the questions on Discord as well. Yeah, sure, no problem. Yes. Yeah, thank you all. So our circle is open but not broken. And may the peace of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. Bye.